Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 awesome Greek gods that you've never heard of. Most of us have heard of the famous Greek gods such as Zeus and Apollo, as well as a few demi-gods such as Heracles and Perseus, and many others from myths and legends. Their stories move the imagination and have captivated people for thousands of years. However, there are many lesser-known Greek gods that are just as interesting, sometimes even more so, than the really popular ones, and they're who we're looking at in today's video. And just before we get started, I will say that if I screw up any of the pronunciations on these, I do apologize. I tried looking them up, but these are lesser-known Greek gods, so sometimes the pronunciations are lesser known as well. I'm doing my best. Number 10. Astrup Linetti. The Astrup Linetti are the gods of the wandering planets. Stilben is known as the sky god and presides over the wandering planet Mercury. Isophoros is also known as Phosphorus and is the god of Venus during the morning. However, Venus also has a god specifically for the evening star, known as Hesperus. The other two are Pyroesis, the god of Mars, and Phaeton, the god of Jupiter, who is believed to have been fathered by the great god Apollo. Legend has it that Phaeton is unsure who sired him, and believing it is the god Helios, attempts to drive his fiery chariot to prove his birthright. Unfortunately, it looks to Zeus as if he may crash and cause great harm to Earth, so Zeus destroys him with a well-placed thunderbolt. Number 9. Chiron. While some may debate Chiron's status as a Greek god, he was much more than just a centaur in Greek mythology. In most legends, centaurs were crude, violent, barbaric people who drank way too much liquor and were considered uncultured. However, Chiron was wise, civilized, and according to legends, didn't even have any relation to the other centaurs in the world. Some legends claim he is the son of the god Cronus, who had sex with a woman while in the shape of a horse. Further, Chiron was said to be immortal, but willingly rescinded his own immortality in order to die. However, there is some debate as to whether that constellation is Centaurus or Sagittarius. Number 8. Dionysius. In Greek lore, Dionysius is the god who oversees booze, being responsible for a good grape harvest and making wine in general. He is also considered the god of ecstasy. More interestingly, he had a human mother and was the only Greek god in such a position who was ever allowed into Mount Olympus. Many credit the booze festival celebrated in his name as helping create the Greek theatre. Also, he was destroyed by the Titans but returned to life later, which has made him an example in the legend of death and rebirth. Number 7. Demeter. The story of Demeter says that her daughter, Persephone, was taken by Hades and forced to live with him as his wife in the underworld. When this happened, Demeter, who was responsible for the growth of life on Earth and the harvest, stopped doing her job while looking for her daughter. Zeus saw this problem and had Hermes command Hades to let Persephone go. Before she went, Hades gave her a pomegranate. After eating it, she had to return once a year. Whenever Persephone was in the underworld, her mother did not let anything grow, and that is the Greek explanation for how winter came to be. Number 6. The Horra. The Greeks had a god for pretty much everything, and the seasons and even the hours were no exception. These Greek goddesses presided over the seasons and also helped keep the stars and constellations properly in line. The three well-known ones were Eunomia, who kept things in good order, Dike, who represented justice, and Irina, who presided over spring. Interestingly though, the Greeks only had 3 seasons: spring, summer, and winter. These goddesses not only controlled the seasons, but also kept society stable in general. The Greeks also had another set of deities who represented all 12 hours of the day. Number 5. The Judges of the Dead. The Greeks had 3 gods, Icus, Minos, and Rhadamanthus, whose sole job it was to judge those who had died, usually deciding upon their punishment as well. According to legends, they were originally men, but were related to Zeus. Zeus is said to have credited them with law and order on Earth while human, so when they died, they were made demigods and allowed to preside over much of the underworld. Icus was the one who was supposed to judge souls who came from Europe, and Rhadamanthus was judging those who came from the continent of Asia. Their fellow judge Minos had the final vote in all cases. While we know that after death they guarded Hades, there is little known about what happened during their lives on Earth. Number 4. Hecate. Hecate is a fascinating goddess from ancient Greek lore, usually associated with witchcraft, necromancy, and the moon, as well as pretty much all other similar subjects. Legend has it that Hecate assisted Demeter when she was searching the earth for her daughter Persephone before she found out that she had been taken by Hades. For this reason, Hecate is often pictured holding 2 torches. Strangely enough, she has seen a sort of revival today, with many Wiccans worshipping her as a goddess. Hecate is also known for having 3 distinct selves, and is thus shown in triple form. She is also known as being a mistress of animals. Number 3. Anomoi. The Anomoi are one of the coolest sets of gods in Greek mythology. The Greeks believed that all of the winds had a distinct personality and assigned each of them to a separate god. The gods of Zephyros of the west wind, Euros of the east, Boreas of the north, and Notus of the south wind. Sometimes in the stories, the Anomoi look like men with enormous wingspans. Other times, they are shown in the form of incredible horses of breathtaking majesty. Sometimes the Anemoi were represented as being controlled by Aeolus, who was known as the Horse Rainer, and had the ability to control the wind gods to unleash horrible storms whenever the gods wanted him to. The god Euros, associated with the east wind, was often believed to be a sign of bad luck. Number 2. Tartarus. While some may not consider Tartarus a god, but more of a place, Tartarus is considered in Greek mythology to be a primordial god. In other words, he is essentially a concept that has had a deity created for it. Tartarus is considered to be way down below the earth, surrounded by a great wall of bronze. Usually Hades is the main place for punishment, with Tartarus being reserved for the Titans, but in some later myths it becomes more of a general place of punishment. Tartarus is the place where all of the Titans were imprisoned after Zeus defeated them and took over. The great god Uranus also utilized Tartarus, sending some of his children down to the pit because he believed that they could potentially defeat him someday. Number 1. Morpheus. When most people hear the name Morpheus, they probably think of the character from The Matrix. However, Morpheus is actually one of the coolest Greek gods ever. Morpheus was originally a child created by the original night goddess Nyx. However, along with several others, he worked for the head god of sleep, Hypnos, which is the root word behind hypnosis. It is said that Morpheus looked up to Hippos as if he were his father. Morpheus was the head god of dreams and was sent as a messenger in the dreams of mortal men when the gods needed to give them important information. Some people believe that when Agamemnon had a dream with a message from Zeus himself, it was Morpheus who was sent to deliver it. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that subscribe button below, and don't forget to give us a like if you enjoyed the video. Also, over there on the right, a couple of other videos that you might want to check out if you enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.